understand. Han Ju sighed sadly, not understanding Mo Xiling's motives. Mo Zhu had already cultivated demonic arts and would surely be influenced by the family head. To let her cultivate in peace, he had developed a new daily habit. As he was thinking this, Xing Hongchuan suddenly appeared, shouting, "Husband!" Han Ju helplessly closed the book. Then, he adjusted his expression and asked, "Where have you been recently?" Xing Hongchuan happily took out a shining object. "A while ago, I left Dayan and went to Zaiwanzu to train." She told him that a person named Wei Yuan had sent many items to her, saying they were for inquiring about Han Ju's health. Xing Hongchuan curiously asked if he knew that person. Han Ju immediately recalled what Huang Zuantian had said that day, "The senior's kindness is unforgettable. And this gift is not out of respect." He smiled helplessly. Old Wang is truly thoughtful. Suddenly, Xing Hongchuan turned around to look for something. "This is also for you. I got it from the demon tribe's chitty. I saw 2 demon kings fighting over it when I found it, so it must be a rare treasure. Taking advantage of the 2 of them injuring each other, I took it. I don't know if it's useful to you?" She winked and handed over a herb. As soon as Han Ju saw it, his face immediately turned pale. At that moment, the system prompted, "The genius treasure possesses the potential of a person with natural luck." He couldn't help but exclaim in his mind, "Has this herb become a spirit?" When the system provided a series of details about the herb, Han Ju widened his eyes even further. "My God! Heavenly God-level talent?" He quickly took the herb and asked Xing Hongchuan. She immediately chattered excitedly, "I must say, after going outside, I realized how vast Dian is. If you compare it with Renzhou, even Yuqing sect couldn't be considered a second-rate sect." Hearing this, Han Ju stared in shock. "Is Renzhou that strong?" Xing Hongchuan smiled proudly. "The reputation of Yuqing sect today is entirely due to my husband's contributions. In the future, it will definitely surpass other states." He helplessly closed his eyes and sighed, "I was just forced into it." She immediately leaned over to encourage him. "The top 100 cultivators list has been updated, and I think my husband will definitely be number 1. He didn't understand at all. "What's the top 100? Xing Hongchuan excitedly said, "In the top 100, there's a cultivator from the criminal department who uses a giant sword as a skateboard. It's so cool, and there's someone who bathes with a sword." Before she could finish, Han Ju suddenly remembered something. He took out a sparkling bottle. "This is a high-level pill that can increase lifespan, a compensation from the Enlightenment old monster. Her talent is ordinary, and I fear she might die too early." She crossed her arms and snorted coldly, mocking Han Ju for disappointing her. "Husband only treats me as a joke." But he solemnly said he was serious. At this point, Xing Hongchuan stopped joking. "Don't worry, I've already used it, and I still have this genius treasure. My lifespan is long." She thought for a moment, but for someone at the golden core stage to live over 400 years is extremely rare. Speaking of lifespan, Lu Sanqin, the eldest disciple of Yuqing Peak, the one you knew, he passed away 10 years ago. These words immediately reminded Han Ju. "No wonder someone has felt missing from my list of friends these years." Back in the decades at Yuqing Peak, the senior brother always cared for him during cultivation. Now, he had no chance to repay him. Xing Hongchuan spoke again. He was about to reach the Yuaning stage, but there were too few longevity pills. If he had left Dayan earlier, there might have been a slim chance of survival. The spiritual energy here is much weaker than other cultivation realms. At this point, she gently leaned against Han Ju's chest. "I really don't want to leave this world. I want to stay by your side forever." After hearing that, he just gritted his teeth in displeasure, seemingly deep in thought. At this moment, in a nearby cave filled with demonic energy. Inside, there was a large pot, with oil boiling and emitting an enticing fragrance. 2 people, Zhou Fan and Mark Fuzhou, were tightly bound and hung upside down, groaning in hunger and exhaustion. Suddenly, young Tiandong walked over from somewhere and asked, "How are you feeling?" As soon as Zhou Fan saw him, he immediately shouted in anger, "Lackey of the demons." If the master knew, he would be disappointed. Young Tiandong silently listened to his curses, while Mark Fuzhou gently tried to console him. It's just bad luck that we intruded on their territory and dared to kill their patrol demons, Zhou Fan exploded. But they were too arrogant, always demanding that we mortals kneel and beg for mercy. How could we tolerate that? Suddenly, someone called out to Donger and asked Yang Tiandong how to deal with these two. It was the Green Python King. Should we cook them or refine them into pills? He smiled, revealing sharp teeth and a flicking long tongue. Yang Tiandong nervously asked, "Does the foster father really want to kill them?" The Green Python immediately became enraged. "They killed my demon pet, they must pay with their lives. This is only natural. If you want to inherit my power, you must sever ties with humans. Humans and demons can never coexist, this is an ironclad rule." Yang Tiandong did not refute, but secretly cursed in his heart. Does he really think I want to become a demon? The Green Python returned to the previous topic and suggested frying them. Yang Tiandong helplessly looked up. "I'm sorry, Zhou Fan. We swore to live and die together, but if I had known this, I shouldn't have rushed in blindly." Recalling earlier, Yang Tiandong suddenly decided to go on a journey. 2.5 years later, he had established his own business and had over 800 warriors under his command. When he encountered the Green Python King, he immediately decided to return to the rescue operation from the previous night. The Green Python became interested in Yang Tiandong's bloodline, so he kept him and adopted him as his godson. He gritted his teeth regretfully. "What did I go out for? The master may be right. Stepping out into the world, the cost is truly too high." At that moment, a demon pet rushed in anxiously to report, "There's a fire outside. It's an Eastern immortal fire from a sect called Wuxiang sect, claiming it's for revenge on the master. He's too strong, we, the small fries, can't control him." The Green Python muttered this name, Wuxiang sect? Then he roared, "Just right. I have a grudge against the Enlightenment old monster." After saying this, the Green Python immediately teleported. "Donger, stay here and keep an eye on them." Yang Tiandong silently thought, looking at the oil pot, why not take this opportunity to save them? Outside the Green Python's territory, Dongfang Xian sneered and mocked, "These monsters surround me, yet they only have this little strength?" He arrogantly shouted, "Tell your king to come out." In the dark forest, a strong demonic aura appeared. Dongfang Xian immediately sensed it, his heart filled with horror. The demonic aura is too strong. The aura is even stronger than the master's. Could it be? He turned and faced the Green Python, his eyes filled with killing intent. The Green Python coldly said with disdain, "Daring to act wildly in my territory, do you have a death wish?" Dongfang Xian angrily roared, "The Green Python is a scourge. Did you kill my master?" He was also stunned when he heard about the death of Wu Dao. Immediately after, the Green Python laughed, holding his face, "Good riddance. Truly a joyous occasion." Dongfang Xian immediately connected the symbols on the ground with the Green Python King. Then he crazily shouted, "It's really you. I'll fight you to the death." After saying this, he immediately leaped into the air. Dongfang Xian's eyes were bloodshot as he raised his umbrella, and the Green Python did not deny it, opening his mouth and laughing loudly, "Today, I will kill you and bring you back for soup." Meanwhile, in his own cave, Hanju was sitting outside in the sun, holding the earth and heaven grass he had just obtained. "Looks pretty good." He thought deeply, if it wasn't trampled, it should be able to cultivate spiritual energy soon. "I'm talking about you, don't pretend you didn't hear." Hanju angrily shouted at the black-eyed chicken. After a while he was relaxing, he saw a familiar figure come knocking. Seeing Li Qingzi with a worried expression, Hanju immediately guessed, has the Wuxiang sect come? The old man denied it, "It's nothing, but..." After hearing this, he was immediately shocked, the Grand Elder is about to reach his limit? After a while, the two of them sat quietly under the eaves, no one spoke. Suddenly, Hanju turned around, "Do you need me to go and see?" Li Qingzi tightly closed his mouth and lowered his head. The master has already left the Yuqing sect alone. He failed to break through to the transformation realm last year, and the pills didn't help much, so he decided to go out and find a way to break through. He said if he doesn't return within 20 years, it means he's no longer in this world. Before leaving, he asked me to tell you, without Elder Han, Yuqing sect would not have prospered like it is today. Upon hearing this, Hanju remained silent for a moment and comforted, the path to immortality is always difficult. Li Qingzi gazed into the distance, perhaps we made the wrong choice from the beginning. Although I've made progress early on, it seems all these years of hard cultivation and seclusion have not brought much benefit. Elder Han, as you know, my cultivation is growing, but crossing this barrier to the transformation realm is becoming increasingly difficult. Hanju looked at him with worry. Li Qingzi took out the token of the Yuqing sect's sect master. If I also encounter a great calamity one day, who among these disciples do you think is most suitable to become the next sect master? He gloomily lowered his head. I often meditate in seclusion, how would I know? He slowly analyzed. The most talented disciples of the Yuqing sect are all under your tutelage, Elder Han. Li Qingzi said, I just discovered that Zun Chang'an and Morong Qi have already broken through to the nascent soul, and their speed is so fast. Unless it's Elder Han, who could achieve this? If they take over. Hanju continued, I understand the sect master's meaning. Their talent is indeed impressive, but there is one thing that must be clarified first. If one day our sect encounters an enemy we can't resist, to the extent that we must flee, even the sect master can't stop me. He looked at him darkly. I was born in this world with only one goal, immortality. After saying this, he lowered his head sadly. To reach that realm, one must have no attachments and be unaffected by karma, only then can success be achieved. To achieve this, I can help the Yuqing sect, but I will never give up my goal for the sake of the sect. Hanju glared at him again. Hearing this, Li Qingzi broke into a cold sweat. Elder Han thinks too much. Actually, I just think Zun Chang'an and Morong Qi have a higher chance of success compared to the other disciples. I don't want them to die here. I previously thought Yang Tiandong was unreliable, and saw that Su Qi wasn't good at management, so I didn't bring it up to you. At this point, Hanju understood, the Yuqing sect will thank you. I thought you wanted to keep me here with your senior status. He quickly denied, we've already prepared ourselves. After all, a small temple cannot become a big monastery. It's not just our sect, even the spiritual energy in Dian is very limited for you. It's not surprising that you want to fly higher and further. With Dian's conditions, it's already very impressive that Yuqing sect has reached this scale. If Elder Han wants to sever his karma, it's fine. After all, you've already helped us so much, and it's time for you to live for yourself. Hanju thanked him seriously. I think Morong Qi has outstanding talent, you can take him to train. Hearing this, Li Qingzi immediately bowed. Elder Han is righteous. At this moment, he suddenly remembered to ask about Shichuan's lifespan, and Li Qingzi immediately reassured him, junior sisters. Talent is higher than mine, and she has previously gained special opportunities. Living for a few hundred years is no problem. Afterward, Li Qingzi took his leave and reminded Hanju, come visit me when you have time. He waved, watching him go. I am powerless in the path to immortality, but if fate allows in the next life, I will definitely try to help. After 7 years of seclusion, the earth and heaven grass Hanju had carefully nurtured finally gained spiritual intelligence. He opened a book and laughed wickedly. The weather is nice, perfect for sending a warm-hearted curse to Zhuke and Mo Yuling. At this moment, the system suddenly reminded Hanju that he hadn't checked his friend list in a long time. Seeing the notification that Yang Tian, Zhou Fan, and Mo Fuqiu were attacked by the Demon King at the same time, he was stunned. Returning to the battle underground with the green snake, he gritted his teeth and roared, who is it? The green snake's eyes flashed with anger and dangerous blue light. The broken spear fell, scattering with the rubble. The demon clan immediately panicked and shouted, stop her. Xian Shishir turned and slashed out a sword, so beautiful that it was mesmerizing. The red thread instantly snapped, and Zhou Fan and Mo Fuqiu called out in panic, Lord Xian. How did you come here? She did not answer, instead quietly kneeling down to gather strength. Afterwards, Xian Shishir directly ascended into the air, flying through the crack in the cave ceiling, taking 2 bound people with her as they screamed and flew away. Qing Mang and his subordinates looked up, gritting their teeth. Damn it. They escaped again. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and questioned, Dong and I. Explain this situation to this king. At this moment, Yang Tiandong had already been beaten to a bloody head, unconscious on the ground. A demon soldier reported, he has been knocked out by her. Hearing this, Qing Mang's face immediately darkened, cursing Yang Tiandong as a trash. Wake him up for me. Years later, after the war, Hanju sat in contemplation. That was years ago. Based on their faces, Zhou Fan and the others should still be alive. I believe you can turn disaster into peace. By now, he had entered the 6th level of the combined realm. In recent years, more and more old friends have entered the cycle of reincarnation. Hanju paused for a moment, then said in a deep voice, the Grand Elder has still left. I wonder how Master is doing. He looked up at the surrounding rocky scenery, lost in thought. After a moment, a gentle breeze blew through Yuwu Peak. Hanju stood hesitantly in front of the door, unsure whether to knock. It seems like I haven't visited Master in centuries. I wonder if Master will be upset with me. Finally, he mustered the courage to knock, and immediately a voice from inside called, Come in. Moments later, the door opened, and Hanju was stunned to see the person in front of him. He hesitated and called out, Master. The door opened with 2 calls, Master. After a moment, Hanju's voice echoed in Yuwu Peak, I am deeply sorry about the Grand Elder. She immediately comforted, Don't worry. He hung his head in dejection, the spiritual energy on Yuwu Peak is insufficient. Why don't you move to my place? I've specially prepared a luxurious cave residence for you, Master. Hanju looked up and smiled as he proposed. But Master gently frowned and refused, That's your mountain. It wouldn't be convenient for me to go there. The following words left her stunned. I have spent my life in hard cultivation, and few have cared for me. Now, fewer remain, but you, Master, are one of them. I don't want to be alone on this long journey of immortality. If possible. Hanju lowered his head and spoke softly. Do you still wish to walk this road with me? Master fell silent in thought. Hanju urged again, Come, I won't disturb you normally. In the end, she agreed. After a while, the black-eyed rooster and Sun Chang'an carried a pile of luggage. He thought it was the cave residence Master specially prepared for him. What a false hope. The black-eyed rooster angrily shouted, I don't even have a cave residence. How dare you want a monkey? Sun Chang'an felt a bit awkward. For brothers like this, you might as well stay honestly on the hibiscus tree. On the other side, Hanju mischievously blinked, My cave residence is right next door. You can find me anytime if needed. Master gently responded with an Suddenly, the black-eyed rooster stepped forward and called out twice, Master, leaving him stunned. It pressed its chubby face close. Does Fairy Shichuan want to eat someone clean? As a result, the black-eyed rooster became a little bird that was beaten and discarded by its master. During this time, in the vast snow-capped mountains of the northern border, Yang Tiandong stood alone facing a group of demons, showing his fangs and waving his claws to try and intimidate him. He lowered his head to hide his expression, wearing a straw hat. I definitely didn't mean to offend you. I just wanted to find your demon king. Hearing this, several demons immediately scattered, revealing sharp eyes. Yang Tiandong immediately got to the point. I want to team up with you to deal with the Qinghu Great Sage. We'll divide the territory later, what do you think? The pair of red eyes spoke in a deep voice, I advise you to give up on this idea. The Qinghu Great Sage is extremely difficult to deal with. Among the 10 states and 9 courts, few demons can defeat him. He immediately assured, I can go back to Dian and invite Demon King Tenzu. That demon has lived for 10,000 years, and his strength is not weaker than the Qinghu Great Sage. The person immediately froze when hearing Dian and Master's name. Yang Tiandong said firmly, you should understand with just a cold lip. The Qinghu Great Sage has been rapidly expanding, and will come here sooner or later. Right now, Wuxiang sect is surrounding him, consuming his strength. If you don't seize this opportunity now, we'll only end up being his dogs. These words immediately shook the Demon King. Upon hearing the other roar, "Say it again if you dare." He immediately lost his momentum. Don't misunderstand. I didn't